listen. Just listen.
There are many positives I can get out of this game.
Big boy's back.
Now, what did I do wrong?
It's time to drop the puck.
On the 9 to noon radio show, which is in the air. Good morning. The Friday football feast tomorrow is at Buffalo Wild Wings, Apple Valley. Then the final road game of the 2025 for the Minnesota Vikings Sunday against the New York Football Giants. And joining us now is Pat Leonard, who covers the Big Blue for the New York Daily News via the X Machine at P. Leonard, NYDN. And the Scribe leads a very popular podcast called Talkin' Ball with Pat Leonard. And you can find Talkin' Ball via YouTube. And Pat joins us now. Pat, first on behalf of the state of hockey, Minnesota, may God rest the soul of elite hockey writer and columnist Larry Brooks, who died about a month ago. Pat, why did Larry's death hit you so hard? And good morning.
Wow, Paul, thank you for saying that and for honoring Larry like that. Thanks for having me on. Hit me so hard because he was such a great mentor here in New York. You know, the famous tabloid wars. Like when I jumped in, it was New York Post versus New York Daily News, and it's every morning you waking up and you win or you lose, and it's cutthroat. And when I covered the Rangers in the NHL for 5 seasons from 2011 to 2015-16, Larry and I kind of morphed from competitors to friends, mainly because he was, despite being my main competition, so gracious with teaching me, sharing all of his stories and knowledge, and just an absolute one of a kind, a giant. You know, we all know people, or whether they're athletes or family members or people we've met once, that you almost can't believe they're real. They're so great at something, or they're so meaningful to you in some important way. And that's who Larry was. I'm gutted by his loss, but I'm grateful that you're remembering him like this.
Now, Pat, when you write at the Daily News, quote, Larry cared, end quote, what does that mean to care in the journalism and ever competitive beat writing world?
Oh, excellent question. Yeah, it means cared about everything, not just one thing, right? So some people care about their sources and only their sources. Some people care about, you know, breaking news and only breaking news, whatever it is. Larry cared about everything. He cared about the people he talked to, the relationships he was building, and he cared about doing his best every day. And I know, you know, I probably sound like a motivational speaker delivering a cliche when I say that, but I'm honestly, you know, telling the truth, that he would wake up and his goal that day was to write a column that was either told somebody something they hadn't heard yet, taught them something new, and imparted something new about the game of hockey, right? It's not just about, it's not about punching in and punching out. It's about doing your best, and that's what he always cared about most.
So, I mean, I guess with all due respect here, would he, and this is narrow casting, Pat, but as the New York market goes, would Larry have been like the anti-Phil Mushnick?
Yeah, well, in a sense, why anti-Phil? What do you mean by that?
Well, simply because of how snarky his media columns can be and things like that. And yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think when you compare that, both of those guys work for a place where, and you know, me at the Daily News too.
Yeah,
it's like they don't just want you to be plugged in. Mm-hmm. They also value a distinct voice. And I think in that sense, like you just described, you were able to describe Mushnick, not even by who he is, but first by how he sounds and how he speaks. And so like, that was one great thing about Larry too, is that he had his own voice, his own unique style. And I think when you say he cared too, like another part of that would be, to care is also to be critical, right? Like when we look at the football teams we're about to talk about now, being critical doesn't mean being negative. In fact, a lot of diehard fans, some people think a diehard fan is somebody who just supports the team no matter what dysfunction's happening. I think, and I know Larry's thought, a diehard fan is somebody who holds the team they root for accountable. So who roots for those great moments and the championships and for all of their players and coaches to do their best, but who also is willing to call people to the carpet when it's time. And so I think that's something that really mattered too.
The stray Mushnick caught was uncalled for, but nice touch with the story, which is pinned atop Pat's Twitter page at Leonard NYDN. So when it comes to the football game this weekend, Pat, and again, Pat covers the Giants for the New York Daily News, and we also have Talkin' Ball via YouTube. Subscribe to that and give it a look. Quite popular, very good. What do you like about rookie quarterback Jackson Dart, and what are some hurdles he's overcoming 11 games and 9 starts into it?
Yeah, what you like about him is he is a leader. He wants everything on his shoulders, doesn't shy at all away from the spotlight, the pressure, and the responsibility that comes with either being the leader of a winning team or the, party to the losing, which is what's happening right now. 8 straight losses for the Giants. I think he's going through right now, as you guys are seeing in a different way with a young quarterback, his own maturities. Like he just said yesterday that he's developing a recognition of how much of a step up it is from the college game to the pro game. And I would say that when he first joined the Giants and entered the game as the starting quarterback early in the season, he was more naive to the idea of, don't doubt me. I'm Jackson Dart. I'm here for a reason. I was drafted in the first round. I'll show you. And like I said, I like that confidence. But I think now he's starting to balance the recognition of what it takes to win in the pros with that confidence. So do you pick your spots better when you're trying to make a play with your legs?
Yeah.
How do you read defenses? How does that evolve? So a lot of an ongoing growth process happening with him, but the arrow is pointing up on Jacksonville.
On Pat's Talkin' Ball podcast via YouTube, it was discussed Dart being under extreme scrutiny for the way he plays. I think you just touched on it, but overall, what does that mean?
Yeah, so he's in the national spotlight, really, for how he runs. There have been critics of his running style that it's too reckless. And I think it's a little overblown, but he's also leaned into it because he's so competitive. He's almost pushing back against it. And so what I mean by that is not sliding when it's time to slide when he's scrambling, staying in bounds and not getting out of bounds after getting a good chunk of yardage. I think everybody saw that Christian Ellis hit in the Patriots game where he flipped him over like an Olympic gymnast on the sideline. And I right now, the key is this. Jackson is a little confused because he was drafted to use his legs. Like, this is a huge part of why he was a first-round worthy talent. If you take his legs away, he probably wasn't a first-round quarterback. So in his mind, he's a little bit looking around like, well, what do you want me to do? You drafted me, you put me in, and you're calling these running plays. The Giants call a lot of design runs for him throughout this season prior to Brian Daboll's firing, and they still called a couple against Washington last week. So he's a little bit perplexed. On the other side, he's been evaluated 5 times for a concussion, including preseason, since he came into the NFL. That is an alarming amount of trips to the blue tent. He's only had 1 diagnosed concussion. But going back to hockey, Paul, we know from hockey, from football, and from the studies of all these sports, soccer, that the subconcussive hits, right, like a regular hits to the brain, all of that, just because you're not diagnosed with a concussion doesn't mean you're not sustaining long-term damage. So the Giants are concerned about his ability to stay on the field, and that is what he's going through right now. And he's being scrutinized every time he takes a snap because of it.
Hey, Pat, I mean, you've covered this and seen a lot of it for a long time. Eventually, with Dart and a healthy Malik Neighbors and running back Cam Scatteraboo, could the Giants be onto something identifiable as exciting?
Yes. The one concern is Neighbors coming off an ACL, Scatteraboo coming off a bad ankle injury. So is 26 the year that's all going to come back together? Or are those guys going to be, versions of themselves, but not their full tilt ability? And maybe 2027 is the year that all kind of turns into the supernova you want it to be. The weird thing, Paul, is that I've been covering this team since 2016. And the story, even though the defenses have fluctuated up and down, the story has always been, could they just put a modern offense on the field, right? While all of these other organizations are finding ways to have explosive offenses, could they just do it 1 year? And now finally, as you're alluding to, it looks like they're starting to put together the pieces of what looks like could be a real 2025 NFL offense. And now they have one of the worst defenses in the league. They literally have the worst run defense in the league, one of the worst overall defenses in the league, after an offseason where they invested their most money and assets in the defense. So that's part of how you get an organization that constantly loses and has lost or has won 5 of their last 31 games.
Jeez.
And that's because they just can't figure it all out.
Well, off that, Pat, I mean, there's immense respect from afar for Dexter Lawrence. Why does the great Dexter Lawrence have just a half sack despite starting all 14 games?
You have your finger on the pulse here, Paul. All these questions are exactly the reasons for the Giants struggling. So Dexter's problem, it's a few things. He stepped into a leadership role last season more so than just being one of their better players. After they let go or traded or whatever, several key players, Saquon Barkley, but also Leonard Williams and Julian Love, guys on the defense who were good friends of his, who were key contributors, and who had leadership qualities and roles. That has weighed on Dexter a lot. Like last year, he was not able to kind of put all of that on his back adequately. And frankly, his play has slipped. I think bad coaching is a part of that. But also this year, Paul, and I say this with respect, I think Dexter has been a bystander this year. I think he has been detached and uninvested compared to his normal level of play and commitment. And there's a few things there, like he had a dislocated elbow late last season where it took him a while through the off season to rehab. He didn't practice in the spring. He wasn't fully ready physically for the start of the season. But also, this is me projecting a little bit, but I do think this is informed speculation that's accurate. I think Dexter's looking around and saying, what is going on here? And so, there's no excuse for him not playing his best. But I do think this offseason presents an opportunity to evaluate a guy like him and say, are we adequately supporting this player? And what does it look like in 2026? Can we fully get Dexter Lawrence back on board and believing in the program we're running?
Pat Leonard, Giants beat writer for the New York Daily News, at P Leonard NYDN via Twitter, and the Talkin' Ball podcast can be found via YouTube. Subscribe to it and find Talkin' Ball with Pat Leonard via YouTube. Just a couple more to close here. How was third overall pick Abdul Carter's first season gone, Pat?
Disappointing. Especially from the standpoint of, well, obviously a lack of sack production, but also his off-field habits haven't been great. One of the criticisms of him coming out from Penn State was that he wasn't a popular teammate. And we've seen, actually, this rookie season, with Brian Daboll being the type of coach who enables guys rather than holds them fully accountable. Carter was getting away with some things, showing up late, not fully committed. Mike Kafka's tried to get that in line, benched him for a series, benched him for a quarter, and then he just had his best game as a pro against the Commanders, albeit in a loss, but 7 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery, a sack. So that's hopefully one of the building blocks that they've been talking about that is going to round a little bit more into form heading into 26 that offers a little bit more promise.
NBA to close. Why is Spurs guard Stephon Castle your new favorite player, Pat?
Oh, he is a rock star. Holy cow. He is unguardable, can get to the basket whenever he wants. And as you saw in that NBA Cup game against the Knicks, when they subbed him out for whatever it was, the start of the fourth quarter there, that's when the Knicks made their run. You know, they were able to get better shots because he wasn't defending the ball, and they were able to force the Spurs into worse shots and to control the glass because he wasn't crashing and he wasn't on the offensive side. It's just hard to find a guy who has that kind of handle at that size, who is mentally patient, and who also clearly makes the right decision in my eyes with the ball every time he has it. I mean, I can't get enough. I'll watch any Spurs game that's on that I can get my hands on because he's such a great player.
Pat, you're fantastic. I look forward to seeing you in the press box at MetLife this weekend. May God bless you and your family. Thank you very much for the time, okay?
Thank you so much, Paul. I really appreciate it.
See you, bud. Pat Leonard, New York Daily News, the Talkin' Ball podcast via YouTube. Quite good if you like football. And it does have a Giants bent, but it's very, very pointed with its commentary. Thank you very much, Pat. Part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list today, where Vikes Bites is around the corner. At 10 o'clock, we continue our weekly Glorifying the Good segment, discussing other NFL teams. The Denver Broncos get the spotlight today, and their 30-year play-by-play voice, Dave Logan, will join about an hour from now, maybe 45 minutes away. After that, I think is going to be a touching segment with a dear friend of mine and a mentor of mine named Greg Papa. He's the play-by-play voice for the San Francisco 49ers. He's going to be back on the microphone a week from Sunday for the Bears at San Francisco. After battling leukemia for the better part of the last year. It's in remission now, so thus Greg's able to resume his duties as one of the great Voxes in the history of the National Football League. If you don't listen to any 9 to noon today outside of right now, but you come back one time, do it an hour from now with Greg Papa joining 9 to noon. Johnny Athletic is he's going to stop by 9 to noon. John Krasinski covers the Timberwolves for The Athletic and TheAthletic.com. He'll be en route to Timberwolves practice after that L last night against Memphis. So he's going to stop by the studio and spend a little time with yours truly and producer Nardo. And as of about 40 minutes ago, some Timberwolves-related news popped, according to Shams Charania.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer Kevin Garnett is reuniting with the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Lynx in a new all-encompassing role involving business, community efforts, and content development, sources told ESPN. His long-awaited number 21 Wolves jersey retirement will also happen in Minnesota. So that the timing of that works out beautifully for Johnny Athletic. We booked him yesterday to talk about the Timberwolves and some things Julius Randle had to say after the game last night. It was covert, and I am reading between the lines, but I do believe it was a low-key plea by Randle for this team to find a true point guard.
Yeah.
And I want to bounce that off Johnny K a little later, too. This is 9 to noon. Nordo produces, and I'm Paul Allen. Vikes Bites are around the corner at FM 100.3 KFAN.
Fan. Vikes Bites! Vikes Bites. It's 9 to noon. Vikes Bites is always presented by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef.
Dexter Lawrence.
And you can shop online. A box of meat shows up at your doorstep. Coburn's and Kowalski's locations, local co-ops as well. They're proud sponsors of Gophers Athletics. And not just as the product is awesome. I love it. I've grilled it. I've smoked it. My kids dig it as well. And it's a Clearwater, Minnesota company, so support local Thousand Hills. Let's start here with a question.
Vikes Bites.
What is your flavor? What is your taste? Do you prefer, because we'll have Donovan Jackson, we'll have Will Fries, I believe. But to round out the offensive line, would you prefer Justin School, Michael Juergens at center, and Blake Brandel at right tackle? Or would you prefer Justin School at left tackle, Blake Brandel at center, and Walter Rouse at right tackle into this Giants game this weekend? Of course, I'm referencing the injury report,
Yeah,
PA.
yeah, that's quite the menu. And next segment, when we get into that Cuz buzz, the word menu is going to be mentioned a couple of times when it comes to the voluminous nature of menus that are available for quarterbacks who can handle a voluminous menu of plays. That the side dishes you just offered there with the Minnesota Moving Company off that injury report, holy cow.
And by the way, I'm going to sit here and stand tall and say that Spam is fine dining, PA. Spam is fine dining.
Dang.
The question that I posed to you earlier in the week, just kind of with the ebbs and flows, and, I thought Tom Pelissero did a great job during the power trip, talking specifically with Christian Darrisaw, where, and we can see it in other aspects of life as well, where you have this traumatic event. In this case, of course, a season-ending injury that he sustained at SoFi a year ago. And now we are, 16 months post-injury or 14 months, 400 and some days. Somebody's got a ticker or a tally out there. But to the idea that mentally trusting yourself, believing in that post-injury, you are totally healthy and trying to work through that, just kind of the idea if Christian isn't able to go this week, and I'm just thinking maybe we call it good for 2025 and just try to come back healthy and happy for 2026. But O'Neill's kind of a guy, if he can go, you're not keeping O'Neill off the field. O'Neill's going to go. And then now Ryan Kelly with this knee, what a year he's had. I mean, at some point we're going to do Brian McKnight's one last cry, and that's going to stink because the season's over. But we're going to look back and we could spend segments of many players that have these health things, from the head and the knees of Kelly, O'Neill in and out, Darrisaw's trials and tribulations. But it might be, what's your flavor? School, Juergens, and Brandel, or School, Brandel, and Rouse on Sunday at MetLife, trying to keep Mr. J.J. McCarthy upright.
Right. And Tuesday at the facility, when the scribe, Ben Gessling, joined, there was a question I framed up to him about Christian Darrisaw. And it's like, it involved, I wonder how frustrated they are with the cat and mouse game with this. And is it time to just forget about it for this year and just move on for next year? This is 6 and 8 radio. Okay, you can look at things like that as 6 and 8 radio, and they have merit. You can instill segments about other teams called glorifying the good. Why? Because it's 6 and 8 radio. I just can't imagine getting to the depths of, like, Kevin O'Connell, maybe offensive line coach Chris Cooper, and others within the organization, heading into each week, just really having no idea what's coming in. And this is with all due respect, because, I mean, every I is dotted and T's are crossed.
Yeah.
With these coaches, man, they just work so hard at it. I have to believe coming into most, if not all weeks, first thing is kind of like, all right, well, what's up with 71? Let's somebody go downstairs, first floor, talk to Tyler, and start figuring out what the 71 plan is this week. That just has to become exhausting. It's 6 and 8 radio. If they shut him down for the rest of the season, like you intimated a little bit last week and earlier this week, I mean, it's not going to really resonate that much with me. As your menu of options went, School, it would be all about improvement for me. McCarthy's the A topic. Yes. Dallas Turner's the 1A with Grenard lost for the season, and seeing what can happen there with more reps. But School, if he has to play this weekend, stacking another good effort off the Dallas effort against a porous Giants defense, as we just heard from the scribe. There's been fatigue just talking about it with you and I, involving 71. I just can't imagine what each week looks like for those within that building.
Vikes Bites!
Vikes Bites.
It's this time of year, PA, as we look at the injury report. We just talked about the offensive line, but once in a while, there's a moment of hope. There's a moment of optimism. There's something that piques one's interest as rookie tight end Gavin Bartholomew is in his practice window. He was limited yesterday.
Practice squad.
Above average at
I
that.
think we have 5 tight ends in the chat right now, which means if they're all active, we can run 15 personnel.
Now, if I remember that this was the playmaking cat. There's a little bit of a flyer on it. He was taken out of the 6th round, Pitt Panther. So he was kind of doing what Brian O'Neill was trying to do at Pitt as he was catching passes as an O-lineman running into the end zone. Bartholomew was just that tight end making plays for the Pitt squad, and we never got to see him because of a back injury really taking most of camp away, and now he's just been activated or the practice window is opened up. So maybe over the final 3, we might get to sell hope on a rookie pass-catching tight end in Gavin Bartholomew. Yep. And if he catches a touchdown or looks good in one game, everyone's going to want to cut 87, and that'll be a fun January talker.
Right. Well, per the next segment, when we hear the Cuz Buzz press conference clip talking about quarterback school and pure progression and stuff like that, it's for those of you who have seen it and or heard it and endured the season we've had to this point with J.J. McCarthy, where the last 2, hey, we got some things happening middle of the field. Okay, so whether it's on the microphone or away from the microphone. So, what happened middle of the field? All of a sudden, it's like open all night. Well, just learning about what goes into that when you're raising a young quarterback.
Yeah.
Which I genuinely did not know until asking about it after the Dallas game. Well, can you imagine this menu and this pure progression? And here's Gavin Bartholomew all of a sudden is going to be active for games. He's supposed to know what it is? I mean, honestly, it's McCarthy is active with these tight ends in big spots.
Yes.
As 6 and 8 radio goes, big spots. Hawkinson and Oliver for the 18s. The 3 touchdowns from them, 2 for Josh the game before. You know, I think this is a nice step taken by Gavin Bartholomew. If he were to be active one of the final 3 games, I think it'd be moderately surprising to me.
Vikes Bites.
Vikes Bites.
As 6 and 8 radio, I went down a little bit. It's not a big rabbit hole. You can just you can use your preferred search engine and you can search Vikings contract incentives. Mm-hmm. And I found I'm more of a SpoTrack guy, but I believe it might be SpotRack.
Yeah.
But I found a page on the current Vikings contract incentives. I'd like to run through a few of them.
Well, as the kids would say, you're in your bag today. Holy cow.
Sadly for 71, the 90% snaps, etc., some all-pro designations, not going to happen this year for him. Same for Brian O'Neill. All-pro would have netted him $1 million. Sadly, health has taken some things away from him. But let's scroll down a little bit here as we get to Jonathan Allen. So Jonathan Allen, playing 76% of the snaps, has cleared his playing time incentive, and it escalates at 50, 60, and 70%. So as of now, if he maintains, he's got to stay above 70%. He's going to earn $750,000 this year.
Wow.
Additionally, for Jonathan Allen. Now, at 6 and 8 radio, it's about wins and raising the kid, but it's also about getting out alive. He's got 2.5 sacks.
Yeah.
In the final 3 games, if he nets another 2.5 PA, another $250,000.
Wow.
Let's go, Jonathan Allen.
Get up there to $1 million.
Get that money. So
I can't remember what the practice report looked like yesterday. You laid it out nicely with the O-lineman.
Yeah.
Javon Hargrave, I would assume he did not practice.
He was a DNP with the thigh.
Now, there's no way is Jonathan Allen going to be like, yes, or opportunities to get interior sacks for me with Gravedigger not feeling too good about that knee. But that's fascinating what you just laid out, because Allen is very familiar with not only the New York Giants, but the interior of the Giants' offensive line. You got a quarterback who can move. Not sure at this stage of the equation how many sacks Jackson Dart takes, but there's $1 million on the horizon for Jonathan Allen.
Potentially.
I mean, just look at just go ahead and watch these final 3. Hey.
He's going to go throwback on this.
It's like the NFL version of the NBA Cup.
Well,
I get what?
Well, how about this?
All right.
How about this with McCarthy? Now, again, they're probably not in the locker room talking about this, or maybe they are.
Right.
Sadly, by the way, Josh Metellus playing with a torn labrum. His season is over. He won't be reaching.
Oh, they talk about it, man.
You think so?
There was a non-playoff year, final game of the season. Somebody was sitting on a boatload. Somebody calling the plays knew they were sitting on a boatload. Yeah, might have been 20 targets, maybe 15. and the boatload landed.
Well, do you remember, wasn't it a Riley Reef playing time incentive that he didn't hit? Because
they paid.
I think they ended up trying to pay him, but then Reef left anyway.
Oh, wow. No, with the money, yes.
With the money. He took the money,
yes.
He got in his Airstream, and he just waltzed out of town.
Yeah, it was, he didn't hit the threshold. The Wilfs, I believe, either paid the full thing or were like, here's $1 million.
They gave him the full incentive, I believe.
Full incentive. Leaves 3 weeks later.
Free agency
with the money in the Airstream. Oh, just one of the great side pieces. Wow, what a memory.
So if they're talking about this in the locker room then, let's talk about Josh Oliver, PA. 3 games to go. Kid QB connecting in some big spots with the tight ends. Josh Oliver, one of those. Now, overall this season, 10 catches, 104 yards, and 4 TDs. If he gets to 6 TDs, PA.
Oh, wow.
250,000.
I mean, after taxes, buck and middling change. Well, that has to be a... Can one of your families watch the child, McCarthy's child?
Yeah.
Because I want to use a large chunk of this $100,000 and change after taxes to take you and your partner, your girlfriend, your significant other to like Turks and Caicos, then Antigua, and we're going to spend all the money, brother. Thank you.
Blake Brandel. He's played in 66% of snaps. He has earned $200,000 in incentives already. Blake Brandel has.
Right.
If this thing turns out and he's got to play full games the rest away,
remember we got Brandel terrorism,
and he gets to 70%.
Yeah,
another 100,000.
Wow! Oh my gosh,
that's terrific, man.
And then CJ Ham, he's played. He's going to have trouble this year if he plays.
Well, I mean, if he scores 2 touchdowns, it should be $750K.
But he's got a snaps incentive. But the tough thing with this offense and his injuries, CJ ain't getting on the field a ton. I think he's played like 15%. But if he gets to 20,
Kevin likes CJ a lot.
I think if we're going 13, if we're going bigger personnel packages rest of the way, and he gets to 20% of the snaps, he's going to house $50,000.
I mean, Brandel. All right, so let's say he doesn't play, okay, and you got CJ. With the part-time stuff, Oliver doesn't play as much as Hawkinson, but he plays. Clearly the key here is getting a big lead on the New York Giants.
Yeah.
So you can, we got 2 games left. He's a crafty veteran. I think he might be a captain. Got to pull Brian. Brandel's in. All of a sudden, they're running CJ. They're going no huddle up 2 scores so they can get more plays. So they can get CJ in the game more. And who was the other? Oh, yeah, Oliver. All of a sudden, Oliver is primo fantasy football NFL tight end red zone threat. Just targeting play after play. And O'Connell is quite fond. And coaches aren't quite fond of everybody that they have in their chats. But nevertheless, those 3, he's quite fond of those 3.
Oh, yeah.
There's an opportunity, and old head coach might make it happen.
Well, how's number 18 going to feel if he's wide open? Like this is, we've tried to force it to you in the red zone. We've tried to do everything we can. Yeah. We got formation penalties, taking gritties off the board. The whole thing sucks. And he's wide open. He's done everything he can.
I know.
JJ looks off 18 to find the tight end for TD number 6 and an incentive.
Yeah, but see, Justin would be in support of that.
He probably would.
Justin, as the kids would say, got the bag.
Or Justin would Justin just say, "Look, Josh, like stats are cool, love that. I'll give you $250,000. I'll just give that to you.
Yeah.
If we could do the one-time gift, we can eliminate some of the tax related things, and we'll just let me have
Justin,
one, please.
I see you at Vikings Chapel. You believe in God, right? Yeah, I believe in God. Why don't you start a ministry? What's the LLC thing? And I'm just going to put $500,000 in it that probably won't get taxed, and you can just have it. That's how much I appreciate playing with you.
Vikes Bites, and we're going to continue the McCarthy conversation around the corner as it relates, as you noted, PA, to some audio from Kirk, from Cousins, Kirk, Cousins. But JJ McCarthy.
What the hell was that?
Oh, it's an old Ice-T song.
Oh, I thought we were going Cousins to your satisfied wood area.
No, there's no Colors.
Ice-T, throwing it back, yeah.
Ice-T's OG, no doubt about it.
Ice-T's OG with Big Daddy Kane and Cool Mo D.
I liked
Dougie Fresh.
I got some cuts. I might play a couple next segment as well, but here he is, just things kind of slowing down for him.
Obviously, the more reps you see the live bullets, but like I talked about, the overall understanding of the offense, it slows everything down tremendously because you're not using that extra thinking of, the ball snapped, I have it in my hands. Is he running that route? So it eliminates those split-second kind of miscues and processing. That's helped tremendously throughout the year.
And just listen to that part of it, and that wasn't even Kirk Cousins.
No, it wasn't. And it's all part, again, of the growth process. And we're about to get taken through a 400 class of passing from Kirk in a 2-minute stretch next segment, but that plays into handling the pass rush.
Emphasizing where my outlets are in checkdowns, just knowing where to scramble to. It's one thing to get out of a fight or flight situation, but it's another thing to, kind of not necessarily predetermined, but just be aware of where the slide's going, where the man side is, because that's usually going to be where the gaps that are going to open up and what concepts are over there, what routes are over there. So just understanding the offense more as a whole has helped.
Kids learning.
All of that has to transpire in 2.5 seconds or less. Wow.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard what Kirk Cousins had to say at his press conference, I believe it was yesterday, down Atlanta way, Flowery Branch, Georgia. We think you'll like it, and we're gonna take that, what he says, and segue it into McCarthy. But the O'Connell and the Rams are going to catch strays here, strays of kindness. We'll be right back.
Sucks not to have a chance to get into the dance and achieve the ultimate goal that everyone tries to achieve every single year. But the next best thing is, how do you get better as an individual? How do we get better as a unit? And that's our focus right now. Each and every day, we're just trying to stay present and focus on our weaknesses and how to make those strengths and vice versa and amplify the strengths. So, yeah, it's really just staying present, enjoying our company. Every single year, the team's going to be different, and we all love each other in that locker room. So we're just soaking every single hop up for sure.
He's JJ McCarthy. That was from his press conference yesterday. Welcome back to 9 to Noon. This is your Things Are Fluid leader. I made a mistake misreading a Nordo text late last evening, and Paul Charchian will not be joining about 11:35 today, but the fantasy focus is quite important for a lot of people listening right now, including the con, Nordo, mad producer on the other side of the glass. So fantasy inclusion with touts required today. Scott Fish from fantasycares.org will be joining at about 11:35 to maybe give a long-winded answer on Rashee Rice, which has been
what people have been looking for.
Been bouncing around the side studio in my head pretty much every day this week, and has nothing to do with me, but a lot to do with the producer, and we like when the producer wins. So therefore, we will have a fantasy focus into a very important fantasy football week beginning this evening with the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, off what you just heard from J.J. McCarthy, Kirk Cousins, there's some cuz buzz.
You like that? You like that?
Floating around the internet off the way the learned quarterback described the complexity of playing quarterback and what goes into a popular term we've heard a lot of late called pure progression. Take a listen.
You thought this week's conversation about progression versus coverage reads and all that?
No, but I'd love to get into it. I can get on this soapbox if you want me to. Like, I can get on this.
This is what we're...
Because I lived the transfer. I lived the jump.
Right.
So I came into the league, even at Michigan State, it was you see coverage and you pick a side and you basically take 5 eligibles down to 2, down to your check down. And so you cut the field in half, and it was, I got single high, I'm going, outside the red line to inside to my back. And you're really only thinking about 3 eligibles because the other 2 over here were meant for split safety, and I got single high. And so it kind of protected you. And then sometimes you would alert that other side if you got pressure. So you'd be like, I'm working this route versus split safety or pressure. If I get single high, no pressure, then I work the other side. So that was, everything was, single high, split safety, pressure, quarters, off, bump, man zone, all these things. But what happened was defenses got so good at disguising it that I would be so stressed going into games going, the whole game plan's built on, is it single high or split safety? And I can't see if it's single high or split safety. Like, these defenses are just making it muddy until I'm 3 steps into my drop. So coaches started to realize, like, if we ask the quarterback to do that, it's going to be really hard because defenses know that's the game we're playing. They're not going to let us play it. So then it started to become, let's just give you pure progressions and let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, that has its pros and cons. I remember when Kevin O'Connell was bringing a lot of pure progression reads back to him with me from LA back to Minnesota. It was like, whoa, like, I got to get back to the dagger backside after already exhausting this progression. Like, that's a lot. I mean, in my mind, like, I'm used to kind of simplifying it and cutting the field in half. So, had to kind of work through that and get to where that was more natural. And then there's a lot of positives of it too, where you're not stressing as much during the week about what if I can't see coverage, because you say, well, it's okay, I don't have to see coverage. Seeing it can be a benefit, but it's more after the snap, where are they going, and I can just kind of progress through. But there's no doubt with the way the pass rush is, if you truly try to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to get sack fumbled a lot. So there's still a level of, yeah, it's pure progression, but like, I got to rule him out pretty quick here so I can get to the backside because that guy's coming around the hump quick.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the thing?
Oh my God! Kirko, chill!
So, what do we pull from that? Playing quarterback is hard and is the most difficult position to master in all of sports. But we already knew that. Cousins spits it out like a Rhodes Scholar. It's second nature to him. And even near the end of a career, Kirk's level of understanding is impeccable. But we knew that, and we've heard that too. Now, Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings and Rams were mentioned in that clip. That's where it's meaty and it's current. All right? J.J. McCarthy is improving game by game, the last couple. And there's another opportunity to tie all of what we heard together Sunday at MetLife Stadium. But the full arsenal of potential offered by the head coach, Kevin O'Connell, clearly cannot be released until the 22-year-old quarterback is properly prepared for said progressions, schemes, and beaters. What is fact with all we just heard is when the bid is at full strength, talking about the Vikings offense, talking about the approach to the Vikings offense, when the bid is at full strength and up to speed and all involved are on the same cliched page, it's winning offense and has been since Sean McVay entered the league close to a decade ago. Cousins' time here with O'Connell, the years were mostly terrific. And he may have pushed 5,000 passing yards in 2023 were it not for the Achilles at Lambeau. And while Cousins had big box scores at times with Washington, the book on Chains, the book on Kirko before he got here was he was easy to stop when things became hot. That's part of the half-field concept he mentioned in his press conference. He talked about Michigan State, but that was also the case early in his run with Washington. So now take what you just heard, the reality that it's hard, but we know that, and the 22-year-old quarterback for whom most of us are pulling, if not all of us are pulling on a weekly basis, J.J. McCarthy, and segue it to Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. All right? McVay, McVay tree, O'Connell limb, McVay tree. Matthew Stafford, always good, never great, always tough. Until he landed in Los Angeles with McVay. And now he's tops in the league in passing touchdowns, yards per attempt at nearly 8, and passer rating. For the analytics group, his 8.42 adjusted net yards per pass attempt, 8.42 is gaudy. I mean, that is a fat number. Stafford's number 1, and it's the highest of his career. Matthew Stafford turns 38 the day before Super Bowl 60. And sure, Matthew is gifted, but Matthew always has been gifted. And what has been unleashed with him is the handling of the complexity of what works with this rock star approach to offense that we just heard from Cousins when it came to, I'd love to get into it because I lived the transformation. J.J. McCarthy is living that transformation right now. All of this is what J.J. McCarthy faces as they build from the ground up with something that is tried and true really over the last decade. It works. It works at a very, very high level. And McCarthy is in the very early stages of all of what you heard from Kirk Cousins. It's confusing. It's complex. In the Dallas game, McCarthy started to become more comfortable with the middle of the field. All right. That hasn't been the case with much of his early career in the NFL. That's why we see the best throws from McCarthy generally being outside the numbers and displaying a cannon for an arm. Baby steps. Arm's good. The level of effort, level of try, level of absorbing what's expected, quite good with J.J. McCarthy. But for whatever the reason, they weren't throwing a lot of passes middle of the field until last game. The middle of the field is where these high-end defensive coordinators fool the kids. And mostly staying away from that greatly hinders what Kevin O'Connell and staff have been very, very good at unfurling since the minute he arrived. Attacking middle zones, short or intermediate, and getting big-time yards after catch. Haven't seen a lot of that this year. Last game, we started to see it. Baby steps. With a quarterback in Kirk Cousins, you saw it a lot. Why? Because he could handle the menu. Same was true in 2023 with Dobbs and Jaron Hall, then Mullins. Nick had issues with turnovers, no doubt. But when he played, the menu went deep to the steak and lobster and didn't stop at chicken tenders with sweet and sour sauce. Thus, in the 3, Nick Mullins, a veteran who had 20-some-odd starts into these starts for O'Connell. In 2023, Nick started 3 games and went for 303, 411, and 396 passing. They went from scoring 10 and 3 to 24-20, make that 24, 24, and 20. This progression, with the pure progression and coverage reads and safety splits and refusing to limit the quarterback to half-field reads, are where we are with the 22-year-old J.J. McCarthy. I'm really glad Kirk went down that road because it is the most eloquent, simplistic, and detailed approach to this term that's being used, pure progression, so frequently locally. He really, really laid it out simplistically. And the leap or the next step we can take is to recognize what we have with a 22-year-old who, hey, all of a sudden the middle of the field's open a little bit. What's off that? Dallas's defense gives up a lot of yards, A, but B, gives up a lot of yards middle of the field. Hey, the 22-year-old was able to capitalize repeatedly on something the other guy does bad at a part of the field they weren't using him much. Why? Because he probably wasn't seen as super clearly in practice. Because these coordinators are really, really good, as Cousins shared. The pure progression and the coverage reads and all that, his passes at Dallas to Hawkinson and Oliver late, both for 18, those were big steps in this equation. We know playing that position is hard, and we thank Kirk, again, for eloquently and simplistically explaining just truly how hard it is. So the patience game very much is in play with our quarterback. And it's fun seeing him purely progress and navigate his way through the sometimes choppy waters of NFL defenses. The Giants are next. And here's to hoping the 5-star menu with winning selections up and down it continues to advance past the kids part of the equation. Then, perhaps, the Minnesota Vikings will start winning more games and will do so with a cherry on top.